I had always known the day would come, the day when I'd have to talk to my father about the relationship I held so close to my heart. Not because it was wrong, but because it was different. She was older than me, and in a world where every difference is dissected, judged, or misunderstood, I knew the road wouldn't be easy. Yet, I also knew that love doesn't follow social timelines or expectations. It simply arrives, unannounced, undeniable. The tension had been brewing for weeks. My father's glances had changed, curious, contemplative, heavy with unspoken questions. I could tell he knew. Fathers have a way of sensing when something important is happening in their child's life. Still, when he finally asked to speak with me, my heart skipped a beat. I wasn't prepared, not because I was ashamed, but because I wasn't sure how to bridge the vast space between tradition and truth. He sat me down in the quiet of our family study, where the walls held decades of memories and silence felt sacred. The sunlight spilled gently through the tall windows, casting a golden hue on his face as he looked at me, not with judgment, but with concern. "I heard some things," he said softly, his voice neither accusing nor cold. "But I want to hear them from you." I swallowed the lump in my throat and nodded. "Okay," I said. "Let's talk." Part 2. Love, defined in our own words. It wasn't easy at first. I struggled to find the right words, as if the truth might crack the space between us. But then he did something I didn't expect. He listened. Not just with his ears, but with his whole being. His silence was not the kind that demanded answers, but the kind that made space for them. "She's not just someone I'm dating," I began, my voice quiet. "She's someone who sees me. Really sees me. She's older, yes, but her age is not what defines her. It's her heart, her wisdom, her grace." He tilted his head slightly. "What do you mean by, she sees you?" I smiled faintly. "When I'm with her, I don't have to pretend. I don't have to be strong all the time. She understands the silences, the moments I can't explain. She doesn't fix me. She just stays beside me while I figure things out. And that's more than I ever thought I deserved." He nodded slowly. "That's rare, to be seen like that." Part 3. His past, my present. What came next was unexpected. His eyes drifted toward the old photograph of my mother on the wall, and then somewhere further, into his past. "You know," he began, his voice dipping into memory, "before I met your mother, I knew a woman like that. She was older than me too. We met at a bookshop, of all places. She taught me things I didn't even know I needed to learn. She was patient, kind, but I didn't have the courage to fight for her. I let the world's opinions shape my choices." There was a quiet ache in his voice, like a melody sung under breath. For a moment, I saw him not just as my father, but as a man with a story not unlike mine. A man who had once stood where I stood now. "Do you regret it?" I asked gently. He looked at me, eyes shining. "I don't regret loving her. I regret not letting myself be loved by her." Part 4. Her strength, my sanctuary. The next day, I told her about the conversation. Her eyes searched mine, cautious but hopeful. "Your father knows?" "He does," I said. "And he wants to meet you." Her reaction was still, quiet, almost unreadable. "Meet me? I think he wants to understand," I said. He didn't come with judgment. He came with questions, and an open heart. There was a pause. She stared into the distance, then looked back at me. "Are you sure he's ready?" "I think he's trying to be." She nodded slowly, then took my hand. "Then I'll try, too." Part 5. The meeting. A conversation beyond words. The meeting was simple. No elaborate plans, just coffee at a quiet cafe tucked away on a peaceful street. She wore something modest and elegant, her hair gently curled, her makeup understated. But beneath her composed exterior, I could sense the flicker of nervousness. My father arrived right on time, holding a small bouquet of white roses, his silent way of saying, "I come in peace." He smiled and offered his hand. "It's lovely to finally meet you." She returned the gesture. Likewise, they talked. First about books, then about food, and then about me. My dad asked how we met, how we connected. Her answers were honest, vulnerable. He brings peace into my life, she said. And I try to do the same for him. He listened. Really listened. And then he said something I'll never forget. You make him softer. In the best way, not weaker, just more at home in himself. She smiled, and in that moment, the walls between them began to crumble. Part 6. Trust earned, not assumed. Later that night, we lay side by side, staring at the ceiling, letting the events of the day settle around us like dust. He said, I don't have to fix you, she whispered. That I already make you better just by being there. My throat tightened. That's how I feel. Do you think he approves? I think he respects you. That's even more important. She nodded, and in the dim light, I saw a tear slide down her cheek. Not of fear or sadness, but of release. The burden of proving herself was beginning to lift. Part 7. A new harmony. As weeks passed, my dad and she began to connect in small but meaningful ways. He sent her articles he thought she'd enjoy. She invited him to a cooking class she signed up for. Their relationship grew, not forced, not overly intimate, just quietly present. One Sunday morning, we all cooked breakfast together. The smell of coffee and cardamom filled the house. My dad laughed at one of her jokes, really laughed. And when she handed him a cup of tea, he looked at her with a kind of fatherly warmth that once felt like a distant hope. That day, as I looked around the room, I felt something I never thought I'd experience: peace. Part 8. Legacy of love. A few weeks later, my dad gave me something. It was a letter. In it, he wrote, Son, I've lived long enough to know that love doesn't follow logic or social structures. It simply exists, and when it's real, it changes you quietly, deeply. I see that change in you. And I see it in her eyes when she looks at you. Don't let the world make you doubt what you've built. Love is not a currency to be spent carefully, it's a fire to be kept alive. I didn't have the courage to fight for my love. But you do, and I admire that more than you'll ever know. I held that letter to my chest, letting the words wrap around me like a shield. Epilogue. The quiet knowing. Months have passed. Our lives have settled into a rhythm that feels natural, strong, and rooted in understanding. My father and the woman I love no longer dance around each other. They move in harmony. Not perfectly, but beautifully. Sometimes, when we sit around the table, laughter flowing freely, I realize something profound. This wasn't just a conversation about love across generations. It was a healing across generations. My father and I didn't just discuss love, we redefined it together. And in that redefinition, we found not just approval, but acceptance. Not just understanding.